Captain Benjamin Collins stood tall on the bridge of the Prometheus, his eyes fixed on the alien world, Alyria, growing larger in the viewscreen. The human colony ship had traveled light years to reach this moment, and now, as they entered orbit, Benjamin felt the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. He knew the Alyrians were renowned for their physical and intellectual superiority, but he was determined to prove that humans were worthy partners in the cosmos. As the Prometheus settled into a stable orbit, Benjamin received a transmission from the Alyrian High Council. Their faces appeared on the screen, their features alien yet eerily familiar. The lead counselor spoke, her voice tinged with barely concealed disdain. "Welcome, humans, to Alyria. We have agreed to this meeting out of curiosity, though we doubt your species has much to offer ours. Prepare for transport to the surface for the official welcome ceremony." Benjamin nodded, maintaining his composure. "We appreciate your hospitality and look forward to establishing peaceful relations between our peoples." Minutes later, Benjamin materialized on the surface with his diplomatic team. They found themselves in a vast, crystalline chamber filled with Illyrians of various ranks and positions. At the forefront stood a striking female Alyrian, her posture radiating authority and scientific curiosity. "I am Sagan, lead xenobiologist of Alyria," she announced, her eyes scanning Benjamin with obvious skepticism. "I have been assigned to study your physiology and culture. I must admit, I expect the results to be disappointing." Benjamin met her gaze unflinchingly. "We may surprise you, Sagan. Humans have a knack for exceeding expectations." Sagan's lips curled into what might have been a smile or a sneer. "We shall see. To begin our cultural exchange, I propose a series of physical and mental tests. This will provide baseline data for my studies and demonstrate the capabilities of our respective species." The Alyrian High Council murmured their approval, clearly anticipating a show of their superiority. Benjamin glanced at his team, seeing determination in their eyes. He turned back to Sagan and nodded. "We accept your challenge." What followed was a grueling series of trials. Benjamin and his team were put through tests of strength, endurance, problem-solving, and creativity. To the growing astonishment of the Alyrian observers, the humans matched or even exceeded Alyrian performance in multiple areas. As the final test concluded, a hush fell over the chamber. Sagan's expression had transformed from dismissive to intensely curious. She approached Benjamin, her earlier disdain replaced by a spark of genuine interest. "Your performance was unexpected," Sagan admitted. "I find myself intrigued by the complexities of human biology and psychology. Captain Collins, I formally request permission to conduct more thorough examinations of you and your crew." Benjamin recognized the diplomatic importance of this moment. Cooperation could open doors for humanity, but he also needed to protect his people's interests. "I'm open to further studies, Sagan, but I'll need to know the exact nature of these examinations and ensure the safety and dignity of my crew." The Alyrian High Council convened briefly before granting Sagan's request, viewing it as an opportunity to uncover potential weaknesses in the human species. As Benjamin agreed to participate, he couldn't help but notice the growing tension in the room. Some Alyrians looked intrigued, others concerned, and a few openly hostile. Unknown to Benjamin and Sagan, a radical faction of Illyrians opposed to alien contact was already plotting to sabotage the diplomatic mission. As the humans prepared for Sagan's studies, the fate of both species hung in the balance, with the potential for groundbreaking alliance or devastating conflict looming on the horizon. As Benjamin and his team prepared for Sagan's studies, the air in the crystalline chamber crackled with anticipation. The Alyrian xenobiologist approached the human captain, her earlier skepticism replaced by intense curiosity. "Captain Collins, I propose we begin with basic physiological measurements," Sagan said, gesturing to a nearby array of advanced medical equipment. "This will provide a foundation for more detailed examinations." Benjamin nodded, aware of the diplomatic tightrope he walked. "Agreed, but I'll need assurances of our safety and dignity throughout this process." "Of course," Sagan replied, her tone professional, yet tinged with excitement. "We'll proceed with utmost respect for your species." Over the next several days, Benjamin and select members of his crew underwent a battery of tests. Sagan and her team measured everything from human cardiovascular efficiency to neurological responses. As the data poured in, Sagan's fascination grew visibly. During a particularly intense session focused on human musculature, Sagan's eyes widened as she analyzed the results. "Extraordinary," she murmured, turning to Benjamin. "Your species possesses a remarkable ability to build and maintain muscle mass, even in low-gravity environments. This surpasses our own capabilities." Benjamin allowed himself a small smile. "We've had to adapt to many different environments throughout our history. It's made us quite resilient." As the studies progressed, Sagan's interest shifted towards human reproductive biology. She approached Benjamin with a mix of scientific eagerness and diplomatic caution. "Captain, to fully understand human biology, we must delve into your reproductive processes," Sagan explained. "I propose a series of more intimate experiments." Benjamin felt a flicker of unease. "What exactly do you mean by intimate, Sagan?" "Detailed examinations of human reproductive anatomy, hormone analysis, and potentially observational studies of human mating practices," Sagan replied, her voice neutral but her eyes alight with scientific curiosity. Benjamin inhaled sharply, weighing the implications. Cooperation could cement human-Alyrian relations, but at what cost? "I'll need time to consider this and consult with my team," he said carefully. As Benjamin deliberated, tensions among the Alyrians began to simmer. News of the ongoing experiments spread, sparking heated debates in Alyrian society. A group of conservative Alyrians, led by an imposing military official named Zorax, began staging public protests. "These humans are a threat to our way of life." Zorax's voice boomed across a crowded plaza. "We must end this dangerous fraternization immediately." The Alyrian High Council, feeling the pressure from both sides, summoned Sagan to demand results. "Your research must yield concrete benefits to justify its continuation," the lead counselor stated firmly. Sagan, undeterred, redoubled her efforts. She approached Benjamin with renewed drive. "Captain, we must proceed with the next phase of our studies. The future of our species' cooperation may depend on it." Benjamin, acutely aware of the growing tensions, agreed to a limited set of experiments under strict conditions. As the studies intensified, he found himself drawn to Sagan's passion for discovery. Their late-night discussions about the intricacies of human and Alyrian biology often strayed into more personal territory. "Your species continues to surprise me, Benjamin," Sagan admitted one evening, using his first name for the first time. "I never expected to find humans so fascinating." Benjamin felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the lab's temperature. "We're full of surprises, Sagan. Maybe that's our greatest strength." As their mutual respect deepened, neither noticed the silent figure observing their interactions from the shadows. Lyra, Zorax's trusted subordinate, had infiltrated Sagan's lab team. She watched the human and Alyrian with growing confusion, her preconceptions about human inferiority crumbling in the face of what she witnessed. Meanwhile, Zorax grew increasingly agitated by the lack of damaging intelligence. "Find me something I can use to end this farce," he snapped at Lyra during a clandestine meeting. Lyra hesitated, torn between her loyalty to Zorax and the doubt gnawing at her convictions. "The research is not what we expected," she said cautiously. "The humans are proving to be more complex than anticipated." Zorax's eyes narrowed dangerously. "I don't care about complexity. I want weaknesses, vulnerabilities we can exploit." As pressure mounted from all sides, Sagan made a bold proposal to Benjamin. "To truly understand human mating behavior, we need to observe it directly," she said, her voice low and intense. "I know it's asking a lot, but the scientific and diplomatic value could be immeasurable." Benjamin felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The potential benefits were clear, but so were the risks. Revealing such intimate details about human biology could leave Earth vulnerable if relations with the Alyrians soured. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the research facility. Zorax's voice echoed over the communication system, filled with righteous anger. "Attention, citizens of Alyria. I have proof of the depraved experiments being conducted with these alien interlopers. The time has come to put an end to this threat to our society. Benjamin and Sagan exchanged alarmed glances, realizing that the situation had just escalated beyond their control. As security forces rushed into the lab, they knew that the next few moments would determine the fate of human-Alyrian relations, and possibly the future of both their species. As security forces stormed into the lab, Benjamin's mind raced. He knew he had to act quickly to prevent a diplomatic catastrophe. Raising his hands in a placating gesture, he addressed the Alyrian guards. "There's been a misunderstanding. We're conducting sanctioned research here. Please contact the High Council for confirmation." The guards hesitated, their weapons still trained on Benjamin and Sagan. Seizing the moment, Sagan stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tension. "I am the lead researcher on this project, authorized by the Council itself. Stand down immediately." The guards exchanged uncertain glances, but before they could respond, a familiar voice crackled over their communication devices. "This is Counselor Vex. Stand down and return to your posts. The situation is under control." As the security forces reluctantly withdrew, Benjamin let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. He turned to Sagan, noticing the worry etched on her face. "We need to address this head-on," he said. "Zorax's accusations could derail everything we've worked for." Sagan nodded, her expression grim. "Agreed, but we must proceed carefully. The Council will demand results, and we're at a critical juncture in our research." Benjamin's mind whirled with possibilities. He knew they needed a solution that would satisfy scientific curiosity without compromising human dignity or security. Suddenly, an idea struck him. "What if we provided holographic simulations instead of live demonstrations?" he suggested. "It would allow for detailed study without the ethical complications." Sagan's eyes widened, a spark of excitement replacing her earlier concern. "Brilliant, Benjamin. We could program the simulations with a wide range of variables, providing even more comprehensive data than live subjects." They spent the next several hours preparing their proposal, fine-tuning the parameters of the holographic simulations. As they worked, Benjamin couldn't help but notice the growing ease between them, the way Sagan's hand would occasionally brush against his as they pored over data projections. The following morning, they presented their compromise to the High Council. The chamber buzzed with tension as Benjamin explained the concept of holographic simulations, emphasizing the scientific value while preserving diplomatic decorum. Most council members seemed intrigued, but Zorax's face darkened with each passing moment. As the presentation concluded, he rose to his feet, his voice booming through the chamber. "This is nothing but a ploy to hide the true nature of these humans," he declared. "We cannot trust simulations provided by the very species we're investigating." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. Benjamin felt the delicate balance they'd achieved beginning to slip away. But before he could respond, Sagan stepped forward. "Esteemed Council, I vouch for the integrity of this research," she stated firmly. "The simulations will be created under my direct supervision, using our own technology. We have nothing to hide and everything to gain from this collaboration." Her words seemed to sway the Council. After a brief deliberation, they approved the use of holographic simulations, with the caveat that all data be made available for review. As Benjamin and Sagan left the council chamber, relief washed over them. But their victory was short-lived. Unbeknownst to them, Zorax had already set his plan in motion. Deep within a secure Alyrian facility, Zorax hunched over a holographic interface, his fingers dancing across the controls. Beside him stood Lyra, her expression carefully neutral as she watched him manipulate the data. "See how easy it is to reveal their true nature?" Zorax gloated, morphing the gentle embrace of two holographic humans into a violent, animalistic struggle. "With this, we'll show everyone the danger these humans pose." Lyra nodded silently, but doubt gnawed at her. She'd spent weeks observing the humans, particularly Captain Collins. The beings she'd come to know bore little resemblance to the savage creatures Zorax was creating. As Zorax put the finishing touches on his doctored footage, Lyra made a decision that would alter the course of human-Alyrian relations. Meanwhile, Benjamin and Sagan worked tirelessly to prepare the genuine holographic simulations. As they fine-tuned the programming, Sagan's curiosity got the better of her. "Benjamin," she began hesitantly, "I've been meaning to ask. The mating rituals we're simulating, have you—" Benjamin felt heat rise to his face. Yes, I have personal experience, if that's what you're asking." Sagan's eyes widened with interest. "Fascinating. And how does the emotional component compare to Illyrian practices? Our species tends to approach mating quite clinically." Before Benjamin could formulate a response, alarms blared throughout the facility. A voice boomed over the communication system. "Attention all personnel. By order of the High Council, all human Illyrian research is to cease immediately. The human delegation is ordered to leave Illyrian space within 48 hours. Benjamin and Sagan stared at each other in shock. "What happened?" Benjamin demanded, already moving towards the door. "We need to speak with the council, now." But as they rushed through the corridors, they found their path blocked by armed guards. "Captain Collins, you and your team are to be escorted to your ship immediately," one of the guards announced. Sagan stepped forward, her voice tight with anger. "On whose authority? I demand to speak with the council." "The order comes directly from the High Council, Dr. Sagan," the guard replied. "They've reviewed new evidence regarding human mating practices. The footage was most disturbing." Benjamin's mind raced. "New evidence? What footage? We haven't even completed the simulations yet." Before anyone could respond, a figure emerged from a side corridor. Lyra, her face etched with willpower, approached Benjamin. "Captain Collins," she said in a low voice, "I have information vital to your mission. We need to talk, immediately." As the guards shifted uneasily, unsure how to proceed, Benjamin locked eyes with Sagan. In that moment, they both knew that the next few hours would determine not just the fate of their research, but the future of human Illyrian relations itself. Benjamin's mind raced as he processed Lyra's words. The gravity of the situation hit him like a physical force, but he knew they had to act fast. "Lead the way," he said to Lyra, his voice low and urgent. As they moved through the corridors, Sagan fell into step beside them. "I'm coming too," she said, her tone brooking no argument. Lyra nodded, guiding them to a secure communication room. Once inside, she quickly accessed a terminal, her fingers flying over the controls. "Zorax has fabricated footage of human mating rituals," she explained, pulling up the doctored simulations. "He's portraying your species as violent and uncontrollable." Benjamin's teeth gritted as he watched the falsified images. "We need to counter this immediately." Sagan's eyes widened with realization. The facility-wide communication system. If we can access it, we can broadcast the truth to the entire planet. Lyra hesitated. "It's heavily secured. We'd need high-level clearance." "Which I have," Sagan said, stepping forward. She placed her hand on the biometric scanner, and the system came to life. Benjamin didn't waste a moment. He positioned himself in front of the camera, his expression resolute. "Citizens of Alyria, I am Captain Benjamin Collins of the human delegation. The footage you've seen of human mating practices is a fabrication, created by those who seek to sow discord between our species." As Benjamin spoke, Sagan worked feverishly at a nearby console, pulling up the genuine research data they had collected. She began transmitting it alongside Benjamin's address, providing visual evidence to support his words. "Our two species have more in common than you might think," Benjamin continued. "We share a curiosity about the universe, a drive to explore and understand. The research we've conducted here has been in the spirit of mutual cooperation and scientific advancement." Across the planet, Illyrians gathered around communication devices, watching the human captain with a mixture of suspicion and growing curiosity. In homes, public spaces, and government buildings, the fabricated images of violent human mating rituals were replaced by the actual data from Sagan's research. Meanwhile, Lyra slipped away, her steps purposeful as she made her way to Zorax's secret command center. Her access codes, still valid, allowed her to bypass security measures. Inside, she found a hub of activity, with Zorax's loyalists scrambling to contain the damage from Benjamin's broadcast. Lyra moved swiftly, her fingers dancing across control panels, as she introduced subtle errors into the communication systems. Alarms and transmissions began to falter, buying precious time for Benjamin and Sagan's message to spread. Back in the communication room, Benjamin could see the impact of his words reflected in the incoming data streams. Public opinion was shifting, confusion giving way to understanding. But their victory was short-lived. An aide burst into the room, his face pale. "Captain Collins, Dr. Sagan, we have a problem. Zorax has taken control of a warship and is on a direct course for the Prometheus." Benjamin's blood ran cold. He turned to Sagan, his expression grim. "We need to stop him." Sagan nodded, already moving towards the door. "I'll contact the High Council. We need their support." As they raced through the corridors, alarms blared throughout the facility. The High Council, now fully aware of Zorax's deception, convened an emergency session. Benjamin found himself standing before them, his heart pounding but his voice steady. "Counselors, I request temporary command of an Alyrian defense vessel to intercept Zorax. The safety of both our species depends on stopping him." The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Sagan stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I vouch for Captain Collins. His tactical skills are unparalleled, and he has proven his commitment to peace between our species." After a tense moment, the lead counselor nodded. "Granted, Captain Collins. May your actions bring honor to both our peoples." Minutes later, Benjamin found himself on the bridge of an Alyrian ship, surrounded by a crew that regarded him with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. As they rocketed into space, he familiarized himself with the alien controls, his mind adapting quickly to the new technology. The vastness of space stretched before them, punctuated by the distant glimmer of stars. Benjamin's eyes locked onto a rapidly approaching blip on the tactical display, Zorax's ship bearing down on the unsuspecting Prometheus. "Intercept course plotted," the Alyrian navigator announced. Benjamin nodded, his hands tightening on the controls. "Engage." The ship surged forward, closing the distance rapidly. As they drew near, Benjamin could see the sleek form of Zorax's warship, its weapons already powering up to strike at the Prometheus. "Open a channel," Benjamin ordered. The communication officer complied, and Benjamin's voice rang out across the void. "Zorax, stand down immediately. Your deception has been exposed." The only response was a barrage of weapons fire. Benjamin's reflexes kicked in, his hands dancing across the controls as he maneuvered the Alyrian ship with unexpected grace. The crew watched in amazement as their human captain effortlessly dodged the incoming fire. "Target his weapon systems," Benjamin commanded, "disabling shots only." The Alyrian weapons officer hesitated for a split second before complying. Precision shots lanced out, striking Zorax's ship with surgical accuracy. Explosions blossomed along its hull as weapon emplacements were systematically destroyed. But Zorax wasn't finished. His crippled ship suddenly accelerated, aiming straight for the Prometheus in a desperate kamikaze run. Benjamin's mind raced, calculating trajectories and possibilities in an instant. "All power to engines," he ordered. "We need to cut him off." The Alyrian ship leapt forward, inserting itself between Zorax and his target. Benjamin held his breath, knowing that a collision at this speed would be catastrophic for both vessels. Just as impact seemed inevitable, a squadron of Alyrian ships materialized from hyperspace. Their tractor beams lashed out, ensnaring Zorax's ship and bringing it to a shuddering halt mere kilometers from the Prometheus. As the immediate danger passed, Benjamin let out a long breath. He turned to his Alyrian crew, seeing newfound respect in their eyes. "Well done, all of you," he said, a weary smile crossing his face. The ship's communication system crackled to life, and Sagan's voice filled the bridge. "Benjamin, are you all right?" "We're fine," he replied, feeling a warmth in his chest at the concern in her voice. "Zorax has been neutralized. How are things on your end?" "The High Council is convening as we speak," Sagan said, excitement evident in her tone. "They're talking about a formal alliance between our species. Benjamin, this changes everything." As the Alyrian ship began its return journey, Benjamin found himself looking out at the stars, marveling at how quickly the universe had expanded. The future stretched before him, filled with possibilities he had never imagined. Little did he know that the greatest challenges and opportunities still lay ahead as humans and Illyrians prepared to embark on a new era of interspecies cooperation. Cooperation as they had never known before. In the months that followed, the alliance between humans and Illyrians blossomed. The High Council, recognizing the potential for mutual growth and understanding, granted Captain Benjamin Collins and Dr. Sagan an unprecedented opportunity, a state-of-the-art research facility on a remote Illyrian island. As their shuttle descended through wispy clouds, Benjamin gazed out at the lush alien landscape below. The facility gleamed like a jewel nestled among the verdant foliage, its sleek architecture a perfect blend of human and Illyrian design. "It's beautiful," Sagan murmured beside him, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the scene. Benjamin nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension churning in his gut. "Let's hope the research we conduct here is just as groundbreaking." The shuttle touched down on a landing pad, and as they disembarked, a team of human and Illyrian scientists greeted them. The air buzzed with anticipation as they made their way through the facility's winding corridors. In the main laboratory, Benjamin watched as Sagan's fingers danced across holographic displays, calibrating equipment with practiced ease. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and he found himself drawn into the intricate details of their research plan. "We'll start with non-invasive scans," Sagan explained, gesturing to a sleek medical pod. "Then we'll move on to genetic analysis of volunteer samples." As days turned into weeks, Benjamin grew accustomed to the rhythm of their work. He observed Sagan's growing fascination with human biology, her questions becoming increasingly pointed and personal. One evening, as they pored over data streams, Sagan turned to him, her expression unreadable. "Benjamin, I've been thinking, our understanding of human mating practices is still largely theoretical. To truly comprehend the intricacies, we need more direct observation." Benjamin felt heat rise to his face, remembering their earlier conversation about his personal experiences. "What exactly are you proposing, Sagan?" She leaned forward, her voice low and intense. "A controlled study of human mating behavior, with you as the primary subject." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Benjamin's mind raced, considering the potential diplomatic ramifications, the ethical quandaries, the sheer unprecedented nature of such an experiment. I need time to think about this," he managed, his throat suddenly dry. Sagan nodded, seemingly unperturbed by his hesitation. "Of course. Take all the time you need." As Benjamin lay in his quarters that night, sleep eluded him. He found himself reaching for his comm unit, activating a secure channel to the Prometheus. "Dr. Rodriguez, it's Captain Collins. I need your medical opinion on something delicate." The next morning, as Benjamin made his way to the lab, alarms blared throughout the facility. He broke into a run, bursting through the doors to find Sagan hunched over a console, her face pale. "What's happening?" he demanded. Sagan looked up, her eyes wide. "I've made a discovery, Benjamin. A protein in human DNA. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. The implications for enhancing physical resilience and adaptability are staggering." As she spoke, Benjamin's initial relief gave way to a creeping sense of unease. The potential applications of such a discovery, in the wrong hands, could be catastrophic. Before he could voice his concerns, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of an Illyrian Benjamin didn't recognize. The alien's features were set in a mask of persistence as he addressed an unseen audience. "Citizens of Alyria, I am Vexer. For too long we have held ourselves apart from our human allies. The time has come for true integration, for the sharing of cultures, of knowledge, and yes, even of our bodies." Benjamin and Sagan exchanged a look of shock as Vexer continued, outlining his vision for a future where humans and Illyrians lived and loved as one. As the transmission ended, the lab erupted into a flurry of activity. Illyrian scientists debated heatedly in their native tongue, while their human counterparts looked on in confusion and alarm. Amidst the chaos, Benjamin's comm unit chimed. It was Lyra, her voice tight with urgency. Captain Collins, we have a situation. Krell, Zorax's former second-in-command, is planning an attack on the Prometheus. You need to return to the capital immediately. Benjamin's mind raced, weighing his options. The research facility suddenly felt like a gilded cage, isolated from the brewing storm of interspecies politics. He turned to Sagan, seeing his own conflict mirrored in her alien features. "We need to go," he said simply. As they hurried to prepare for departure, Benjamin couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of a new era. The choices they made in the coming hours would shape the future of human-Alyrian relations for generations to come. The shuttle rose into the air, leaving behind the tranquil island that had been their home for months. As they accelerated towards the Alyrian capital, Benjamin's gaze was drawn to the stars visible through the viewport, where somewhere, the Prometheus orbited, unaware of the danger heading its way. Benjamin's grip tightened on the shuttle controls as he pushed the engines to their limit. "We need to split up," he said, turning to Sagan. "I'll head to the Prometheus and coordinate the defense. You go to the capital and warn the High Council about Krell's plot." Sagan nodded, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the perseverance in Benjamin's voice. "Agreed. Be careful, Benjamin." As they approached the capital, Benjamin set the shuttle down on a landing pad. Sagan disembarked quickly, her lithe form disappearing into the crowd of Illyrians rushing about the spaceport. Benjamin wasted no time, immediately lifting off and setting a course for the Prometheus. The familiar shape of the human ship grew larger in his viewport. Benjamin opened a communication channel. "Prometheus, this is Captain Collins. We have an urgent situation. Prepare for my arrival and initiate defensive protocols." Minutes later, Benjamin strode onto the bridge of the Prometheus. The crew snapped to attention, their faces a mix of relief and concern at their captain's sudden return. "Status report," Benjamin barked, sliding into the command chair. Lieutenant Chen responded crisply. "All systems nominal, sir. Shields are raised and weapons are hot." Benjamin nodded, his mind racing through potential strategies. "Good. Configure our shield harmonics to a rotating frequency. It'll make us harder to target." He turned to the tactical officer. "Ensign, pull up everything we have on Alyrian attack formations. Focus on any data we gathered during our encounter with Zorax." As the crew bustled around him, Benjamin felt a familiar calm settle over him. This was where he excelled, in the heat of battle, making split-second decisions that could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Meanwhile, in the Alyrian capital, Sagan burst into the High Council chambers, her entrance causing a ripple of surprise among the assembled dignitaries. "Forgive my intrusion," she said, her voice carrying across the room, "but we face an imminent threat. Krell, former second-in-command to Zorax, is planning an attack on the Prometheus." The lead counselor rose, his brow furrowed. "These are serious allegations, Dr. Sagan. What evidence do you have?" Sagan stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Data streams and intercepted communications flickered in the air. "I've analyzed communication patterns and ship movements. Krell has assembled a rebel fleet and is on an intercept course with the Prometheus as we speak." The council chamber erupted into heated debate. Sagan stood her ground, fielding questions and presenting her data with unwavering confidence. As the minutes ticked by, she could feel the council's skepticism giving way to grim acceptance. Finally, the lead counselor raised a hand for silence. "We cannot ignore this threat. I hereby authorize the mobilization of our defense forces to intercept Krell's fleet." Back on the Prometheus, Benjamin's preparations were put to the test. As Krell's ships dropped out of hyperspace, the rebel fleet's weapons blazed to life, filling space with a deadly light show. "Evasive maneuvers," Benjamin ordered. The Prometheus responded instantly, dancing through space in a series of unpredictable movements. Krell's initial salvo passed harmlessly by, missing the agile human ship. Benjamin allowed himself a small smile. "They're not used to our level of maneuverability. Let's use that to our advantage. Helm, pattern Omega-3. Weapons, target their lead ship's propulsion systems." The space around the Prometheus lit up with weapons fire as the human ship wove through Krell's formation. Benjamin's unorthodox tactics threw the Alyrian rebels into disarray, their rigid attack patterns breaking down in the face of the Prometheus's fluid movements. Just as Krell's forces began to regroup, new contacts appeared on the tactical display. Benjamin's heart leapt as he recognized the distinctive energy signatures of Illyrian defense ships. "Open a channel to the Illyrian fleet," he commanded. The face of an Illyrian captain appeared on screen. Benjamin nodded in greeting. "Glad you could join us. Let's coordinate our efforts and end this quickly." The battle that followed was a testament to the potential of human-Illyrian cooperation. Benjamin's ability to adapt on the fly complemented the Illyrians' advanced technology and disciplined formations. Together, they pressed Krell's forces hard, slowly but surely gaining the upper hand. In the midst of the chaos, a priority transmission came through from Sagan. Her voice was tight with excitement. "Benjamin, I've been analyzing Krell's attack patterns. There's a weakness in their shield configuration, a fluctuation in the aft quadrant every 73 seconds. Benjamin's mind raced, quickly formulating a plan. "Understood. We'll use that to our advantage." He relayed the information to the Illyrian commanders, then set his plan in motion. The Prometheus and two Illyrian cruisers broke formation, swinging around behind Krell's flagship. They waited, weapons primed, for the precise moment Sagan had identified. "Now!" Benjamin shouted. A coordinated barrage of fire struck Krell's ship just as its shields flickered. The rebel leader's vessel shuddered under the assault, its engines sputtering and going dark. With their leader neutralized, the remaining rebel ships quickly surrendered. As the Illyrians began securing Krell and his crew, Benjamin let out a long breath, the tension of battle slowly ebbing away. He opened a channel to the Illyrian High Council. Sagan's face appeared, her alien features alight with relief and pride. "Well done, Benjamin," she said softly. Benjamin nodded, a warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the recent battle. "We make a good team," he replied. As the adrenaline of combat faded, Benjamin found his thoughts turning to the future. The battle had demonstrated the incredible potential of human-Illyrian cooperation, but it had also raised new questions, new possibilities that both excited and unsettled him. The incoming transmission alert on his console pulled Benjamin from his reflections. It was an official summons from the Illyrian High Council, requesting his presence at an emergency session to discuss the implications of recent events. As Benjamin prepared to disembark, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the threshold of something momentous. The choices he would make in the coming hours and days would shape not just his own future, but the future of human-Illyrian relations for generations to come. With a deep breath, he straightened his uniform and strode towards the airlock, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Benjamin stepped off the shuttle onto the remote Illyrian moon, his eyes taking in the stark, alien landscape. The research facility loomed before him, a gleaming testament to the collaboration between human and Illyrian technology. Sagan emerged from the airlock, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the pale light of the distant sun. "Welcome to our new home, Benjamin," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. As they entered the facility, Benjamin marveled at the seamless integration of human and Illyrian design. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing real-time data streams from various experiments already underway. "We've set up the primary genetic sequencing lab here," Sagan explained, leading Benjamin through a series of high-tech chambers. "And this," she said, gesturing to a room filled with advanced imaging equipment, "is where we'll conduct our physiological scans." Over the next few weeks, Benjamin and Sagan fell into a rhythm of intense research and analysis. They worked side by side, poring over genetic data and comparing physiological responses between their species. One evening, as Benjamin was reviewing a set of human DNA scans, Sagan burst into the lab, her eyes wide with excitement. "Benjamin, come quickly! I've found something extraordinary." He followed her to her workstation, where a complex 3D model of a protein molecule rotated slowly on the screen. "This protein," Sagan explained, her voice trembling with nearly unleashed enthusiasm, "it's unique to human DNA. Our preliminary tests suggest it plays a crucial role in enhancing physical adaptability and resilience." Benjamin leaned in, studying the intricate structure. "What are the implications?" Sagan's eyes gleamed. They're potentially enormous. This could lead to groundbreaking medical advancements for both our species. As they delved deeper into their research, Benjamin found himself increasingly aware of Sagan's presence. The way her antennae twitched when she was deep in thought, the graceful movements of her forearms as she manipulated holographic displays. One night, as they worked late in the lab, Sagan turned to Benjamin, her expression unreadable. "I have a proposal," she said, her voice low. "I believe we need to expand our research to include a detailed study of human mating behavior." Benjamin felt his heart rate quicken. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Sagan stepped closer, her alien features softening. "A series of controlled experiments, with you as the primary subject." Benjamin swallowed hard, his mind racing with the potential implications. I'm not sure that's wise, Sagan. The diplomatic ramifications alone would be outweighed by the scientific value," Sagan interrupted. "Think of what we could learn, Benjamin, about both our species." After careful consideration and consultation with the ethics committee, Benjamin agreed to participate in the experiments under strictly controlled conditions. The research team set up a specialized chamber equipped with advanced biometric sensors and imaging technology. Benjamin felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation as he entered the room for the first experiment. Sagan's voice came through the intercom, professional yet tinged with an undercurrent of excitement. "We'll start with baseline readings of your physiological responses to various stimuli. Just relax and follow the prompts on the screen." As the experiments progressed, Benjamin and Sagan made several surprising discoveries about the compatibility between human and Alyrian biology. Despite their vastly different anatomies, they found unexpected similarities in the biochemical processes involved in attraction and arousal. News of their research spread quickly through the Alyrian scientific community. Benjamin received a transmission from the Alyrian capital showing footage of Vexor addressing a large crowd. "Citizens of Alyria," Vexor's voice rang out, "the groundbreaking work being done by Dr. Sagan and Captain Collins proves what I've long believed. True integration between our species is not only possible, but necessary for our continued growth and prosperity." As Vexor's words echoed through the facility, Benjamin felt a weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Their research was no longer just about scientific discovery. It had become a catalyst for social and political change. The experiments continued, growing more intimate as Benjamin and Sagan explored the boundaries of human-Alyrian physical compatibility. During one session, as Sagan's hand brushed against Benjamin's arm, they both gasped at the unexpected sensation. "Did you feel that?" Sagan asked, her voice filled with wonder. Benjamin nodded, his skin tingling where they had touched. "It was like a surge of empathy. I could almost sense your thoughts." They quickly set up additional sensors to monitor the phenomenon. The data confirmed their suspicions. Close physical contact between humans and Alyrians created a temporary biochemical bond, enhancing empathy and understanding between the participants. As they delved deeper into their research, exploring the potential medical and technological applications of their discoveries, Benjamin and Sagan found their personal relationship deepening as well. They spent long hours discussing the implications of their work, their conversations often stretching late into the night. One evening, as they were reviewing data on the empathic bond, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. Benjamin jumped to his feet, years of military training kicking in. "Security breach in Sector 7, an automated voice announced. "Unknown intruders detected." Benjamin's blood ran cold as he saw Krell's face appear on the security feed, leading a group of armed extremists through the facility. "We need to lock down the lab," Benjamin said, his voice tense. "Protect the research data." Sagan nodded, her fingers flying over the control panel. "I'm activating the emergency protocols and sending a distress signal to the Alyrian homeworld." As the sound of weapons fire echoed through the corridors, Benjamin and Sagan found themselves trapped in the main laboratory, surrounded by the fruits of their groundbreaking research. Benjamin's mind raced, assessing their options. "We can't let this data fall into the wrong hands," he said, looking at Sagan. "But we can't let it be destroyed either." Sagan's eyes met his, a mixture of fear and dedication visible in their alien depths. "There's one more experiment we haven't tried," she said softly. One that could prove, beyond any doubt, the potential for true human-Alyrian integration. Benjamin understood immediately what she was suggesting. As the sounds of fighting drew closer, he nodded, his heart pounding. Let's do it. They moved quickly, setting up the necessary equipment and initiating the final, most intimate experiment of their research. As alarms blared and the facility shook with explosions, Benjamin and Sagan prepared to put everything they had discovered and everything they felt for each other to the ultimate test. As Benjamin and Sagan's bodies intertwined, the facility shook with another explosion. The moment of intimacy was shattered by the harsh reality of their situation. "We're out of time," Benjamin said, quickly disentangling himself from Sagan. His mind raced, assessing their limited options. Then his eyes fell on the prototype neural link device they had been developing. "Sagan, we need to use the prototype neural link device," he said urgently. "It's our only chance to save our research and ourselves." Sagan's multifaceted eyes widened in understanding. The neural link was an experimental technology they had been developing to enhance human-Alyrian communication, but it had never been tested beyond simple data transfers. Using it now in a crisis could have unpredictable consequences. Without hesitation, Sagan nodded her agreement. As she moved to prepare the device, Benjamin quickly secured the lab's blast doors and began uploading their research data to a secure quantum-encrypted cloud storage. The sound of plasma cutters gnawing through the reinforced door filled the air. Benjamin's heart raced as he watched the progress bar on the data upload creep towards completion. Just as the final packets of data were transmitted, a shower of sparks erupted from the door. "Now or never," Benjamin said, his voice tight with tension. Sagan attached the neural link interfaces to their temples. The device hummed to life, its circuitry glowing with an otherworldly blue light. As Krell's forces breached the final layer of the door, Benjamin and Sagan activated the neural link. A surge of energy coursed through them, unlike anything they had ever experienced. Benjamin gasped as his consciousness expanded, merging with Sagan's in a rush of alien sensations and thoughts. In an instant, he gained access to her vast knowledge of Illyrian technology and biology. Simultaneously, Sagan's mind was flooded with Benjamin's tactical expertise and combat training. The door burst open, and Krell's extremists poured into the lab. But instead of finding two isolated researchers, they faced a seamlessly coordinated team that anticipated their every move. Benjamin's body moved with inhuman grace, his reflexes enhanced by Illyrian physiology. He disarmed the first wave of attackers with startling efficiency, his movements a fluid blend of human martial arts and Illyrian combat techniques. Sagan, drawing on Benjamin's strategic thinking, quickly reconfigured the lab's equipment into an improvised defense system. Her four arms worked in perfect harmony, rapidly assembling a makeshift energy barrier that repelled the extremist weapons fire. Krell himself charged into the lab, his face contorted with rage. "Traitors to your own kind," he snarled, leveling an advanced energy weapon at them. But Benjamin and Sagan's shared consciousness allowed them to communicate and react faster than any normal combatants. They moved in perfect synchronization, anticipating Krell's attacks before he even made them. Sagan ducked under a blast from Krell's weapon, using her newly acquired combat skills to close the distance. Benjamin, tapping into Illyrian scientific knowledge, quickly analyzed the energy signature of Krell's weapon. He called out a series of frequencies to Sagan, who used them to modulate the lab's force field projectors. As Krell fired again, his weapon's energy beam dissipated harmlessly against the recalibrated force field. Taking advantage of his momentary surprise, Benjamin and Sagan launched a coordinated attack. Benjamin grappled with Krell, using leverage techniques that accounted for Illyrian physiology, while Sagan deftly removed the power source from his weapon. In a matter of moments, Krell was subdued, his followers either unconscious or restrained by the lab's automated systems. The sound of approaching Illyrian Defense Force ships filled the air, signaling the arrival of reinforcements. As the immediate danger passed, Benjamin and Sagan maintained their neural link, marveling at the depth of their connection. They experienced each other's emotions, memories, and innermost thoughts with crystal clarity. The intimacy of this shared consciousness far surpassed anything they had imagined in their research. Through their mental fusion, they saw the true extent of their compatibility, not just physical or biological, but a profound melding of minds and spirits. They realized that this connection represented the ultimate potential of human-Alyrian integration. As the neural link slowly began to fade, Benjamin and Sagan found themselves forever changed. The experience had given them a glimpse of a future where humans and Alyrians could truly understand and complement each other on the deepest level. "That was incredible," Benjamin said, his voice filled with awe as the last tendrils of their mental connection dissipated. Sagan nodded, her alien features reflecting a mix of wonder and excitement. "We've just experienced something unprecedented, Benjamin. The implications of this are staggering." As Alyrian security forces secured the facility and took Krell into custody, Benjamin and Sagan began to process the full impact of what had just occurred. They realized that the data gathered from their neural link provided irrefutable evidence of the benefits of interspecies cooperation and compatibility. In the days that followed, news of their breakthrough spread like wildfire across both Earth and Alyria. The Alyrian High Council and Earth governments convened an emergency session to discuss the implications of this new development. Benjamin and Sagan found themselves at the center of a media storm, hailed as heroes and pioneers of a new era in human-Alyrian relations. They were called to testify before various committees and scientific bodies, sharing their experience and the data they had gathered. Vexor's pro-integration movement gained overwhelming support in light of the new evidence. The success of Benjamin and Sagan's neural link experiment became the cornerstone for groundbreaking legislation, allowing for official human-Alyrian partnerships. As the political landscape shifted, Benjamin and Sagan returned to their research with renewed vigor. They focused on refining the neural link technology, exploring its potential applications in fields ranging from medicine to space exploration. One evening, as they worked late in their new state-of-the-art laboratory, Sagan turned to Benjamin with a thoughtful expression. "You know," she said, her voice soft, "when we first met, I never imagined we'd end up here, changing the course of history for both our species." Benjamin smiled, reaching out to gently touch one of Sagan's hands. "Life has a way of surprising us," he replied, "and I can't think of anyone I'd rather explore those surprises with than you." As they shared a moment of companionable silence, both human and Alyrian knew that their journey together was nowhere near the end. The neural link had opened up new avenues of research and understanding, and they were eager to see where this path would lead them next. Outside their lab, the first joint human-Alyrian colony was taking shape, a testament to the new era of cooperation their work had ushered in. And as Benjamin and Sagan turned back to their research, they knew that the greatest discoveries still lay ahead.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.